There are 7 Skibidi Toilet characters who perfectly embody the 7 deadly sins. However, if we flip this upside down, we'll find another set of characters who represent the exact opposite, the 7 heavenly virtues. My name is Mikey, and we'll be comparing the Skibidi characters who represent the 7 deadly sins and their corresponding heavenly virtues. Starting with humility versus pride. Humility is a virtue defined as being humble and also being free of pride or arrogance. And the best character that represents this virtue is our beloved Speakerman. A great example of this is shown in episode 24. They were always free of pride and they were there to lend a hand whenever needed. This shows that they respect and care about others from the day they were introduced. The Speakerman has captured the hearts of millions with their humble and cheerful personality. Me personally, I found them the modest of them all. These guys are someone who has never been affected by power and authority. And on the other hand, we have the deadly sin of pride. Pride is a sin described as an excessive desire for one's own self or unrestricted love for one's own excellence, which is exemplified by the Detainer Astro Toilet. If I asked you to give me the 2 polar opposite Skibidi characters, Astro Detainer and the Speakerman, would be a pretty good answer. The Detainer Astro Toilet has a fair share of its pride moments, and honestly, he paid for this sin every time. For example, in episode 60, where he tried to kill the G-Toilet, miscalculating what would happen next. Shortly after the scientist attacked the Detainer Astro Toilet, and this cost him his arm. Another instance of his pride is seen in episode 70. He arrives to warn the Titans and even laughs at them when their attack fails. And he also confidently threatens them, not knowing his place. But these incidents don't compare to the one in episode 72. In episode 72, he attempted to assassinate G-Toilet. In this episode, he's extremely cocky and underestimates G-Toilet's powers. When he thought he had finally defeated G-Toilet, G-Toilet started to play tricks on him using his orbs. Detainer was so sure of himself that he dismissed it as a mere annoyance, so he absorbed the orbs and laughed. But then, karma hits him hard. Those orbs were actually able to control his arms. Things quickly turned bad for Detainer, and he ended up getting severely injured. Hopefully, he'll learn from his mistakes, and I think he is going to make a comeback really soon. And because of these, the Speakermen are a shining example of humility, and the Detainer Astro Toilet will continue to drown in his pride. However, the Speakermen are not the only ones known as being humble and kind, as the Cameraman have also earned a reputation in one of the 7 virtues, though he best represents the heavenly virtue of diligence, directly contrasting to the TV men who personify the deadly sin of sloth. Diligence is described as hardworking and being passionate about seeking something with one's heart, strength, and might, while sloth is just a lack of effort and pure laziness. When taking a look at the TV race, we wouldn't call them lazy, and you are exactly right. But here I am talking specifically about the normal TV men. Let's be honest, when was the last time we actually saw the regular TV men doing anything? Well, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't really call this actual work. On the battlefield, we mostly see TV women, TV daddy, large TV man, scientist TV, and Titan TV man in action. It seems like they're just hanging out at the TV base, staying out of the war, and when all the difficult and dangerous work is done, these guys will come out to collect the samples. Well, on top of that, these guys are arrogant too. This is why the normal TV men are the perfect embodiment of the deadly sin of sloth. While on the other side of the story, the Cameramen are the complete opposite of sloth and a perfect example of the heavenly virtue of diligence. They are literally the most common and frequently used alliance member, and let's be honest, they are always doing most of the work. But still, including their Titan, these guys are humble and diligent. Out of the Alliance, these guys are really putting in the most effort. The Cameramen are in every episode trying their best to be useful, completely contrasting the TV men who are nowhere to be seen when needed. Even though all the Cameramen are really hardworking, there is one specific member I wanted to mention. I am talking about the Goat Plunger Man. Plunger Cameraman was a variant of the Black Cameraman, and due to his bravery and diligence, he quickly became one of the most loved characters in the whole series. And the reason why this specific Cameraman is so special, well, where do I start? This guy fought against the Skibidi scientist, and he was literally ready to face any opponent just to protect his fellow members. To sum it up, I think the deadly sin of sloth will make the downfall of the TV race, and the Cameraman will continue to win the hearts of millions by their hard work and diligence. Similar to these guys, the Titan Cameraman also exemplifies diligence through his hard work and dedication. However, he best fits into the virtue of temperance, while the Astro Toilets represents the exact opposite, the deadly sin of gluttony. I know it may sound crazy at first, but let me explain. Most people associate the sin of gluttony with eating copious amounts of food for pleasure, but it also represents an uncontrolled overindulgence in anything such as power, authority, or even the desire to rule over something. While the virtue of temperance is characterized as self-control, discipline, and emotional restraint. Well, if you want the sin of gluttony in the traditional sense. We got this Skibidi Toilet from episode 46. He is literally eating the cameraman alive, and even after that he wasn't done, because we can see him wanting to eat the Cinema Titan too. Even though he got absolutely destroyed by the Titan, we can see his dedication to the sin of gluttony. But the reason why I think the Astro Toilet fits this sin perfectly is very simple. In my opinion, the sin of gluttony can be an overconsumption of anything. And these guys want to rule over the entire world. And they were so hungry for it that they even started killing their own alliance, just so that they can have everything for themselves. This clearly shows their starvation for power and authority. Meanwhile, one of the key aspects of the Titan cameraman's fame is that he was always ready to make the sacrifice. It doesn't matter what the situation is or how bad it's going on for them. He was always seen as calm and reacted to everything with a thumbs up. Even in episode 74, when he literally sacrifices himself for the sake of alliance, he gave a thumbs up to the POV cameraman. I don't care what anyone says. This guy deserves all the love and credit. Literally my favorite character in the whole series, and he also might be alive. Well, we can only hope for now. And it's because of this that the Titan cameraman is the perfect embodiment of the heavenly virtue of temperance. While on the other side, the Astro Toilets will probably suffer from the deadly sin of gluttony in the near future. Now imagine this, two guys from the same race, from the same constitution, yet their natures completely differ from one another. The Plunger Man is blessed with the heavenly virtue of chastity, while the simp cameraman is the opposite, being the human equivalent of the deadly sin of lust. Chastity is to refrain and resist the temptation of your own dark desires, while lust is usually an intense or uncontrollable desire, often for one's own pleasure. Simp cameraman is a clear example of this sin through his obsessive actions and constant pursuit of TV woman. From the very beginning, he has been trying to get her attention. His obsession drives him to constantly seek her out and crave physical affection, even though she repeatedly ignores him. For instance, in episode 54, simp cameraman sees the TV woman and immediately runs to hug her, but TV woman teleports away, leaving him standing there in sadness, staring at the ground. His obsession is so deep that he keeps a picture of her, likely spending hours just staring at it. Another example of his lust is in episode 57, where simp cameraman is stuck and has lost his limbs. Despite his dire situation, his focus remains on TV woman, and he desperately tries to reach out to her for help. However, TV woman ignores him and chooses to save Plunger cameraman instead. And this is why the Plunger Man is a great example for the virtue of chastity. Even though he is much more famous than the simp cameraman, the Plunger Man never got involved in any kind of affection. Even though I think if he tried to propose to any alliance women, he likely has much more chances of approval than the simp cameraman. Still, this guy has never been caught lacking. He is the GOAT for a reason. This only proved how the Plunger Man truly prioritized his duties and responsibilities, making him a perfect example of chastity, while the simp cameraman is fully blinded by lust, making him literally useless for the alliance. But sometimes I feel bad for the simp cameraman. Maybe he just wanted to get loved by someone. Poor guy. See you in the gym, buddy. Well, the TV women and the TV scientist is another great example of how you can be so different in nature, even though you are from the exact same race. Because TV women exemplifies the heavenly virtue of kindness, while on the other hand, TV scientist takes the title of envy. Kindness is a quality of being selfless, compassionate, and merciful, while envy is the sin of jealousy over the achievements of others and their blessings. And when you look at the TV women, you will see why she is a great example of kindness. Well, where do I start? From the day of her debut, she is seen taking care of everyone and being considerate about her fellow Alliance members. This is what true kindness is. She saved the Alliance members several times while risking her own life. And in the most recent episode of Skibidi Toilet, when no one was giving a crap about the poor cameraman, she was the only one seen to actually care about her companions. Even though she wanted to save them, she couldn't really do anything, because she is not the one in charge of the TV race. The one in charge is the guy who fits perfectly for the deadly sin of envy. Surely I wouldn't be the only one to notice this, right? But from the start, the scientist TV never wanted to share anything with his fellow Alliance members. I mean, bro is clearly insecure and jealous. I mean, why he is always angry with the other Alliance members? And why is he prioritizing the samples over the lives of cameramen? Well, I don't know, but I think his unjust hatred towards other members is quite visible. Call me biased or anything, but I don't really like this guy. The only two who are carrying the TV race are the Titan TV and the TV women. Well, for the virtue of kindness, I also wanted to mention the speaker women and camera women, because they can also be seen helping others and being considerate. To be honest, this trio is the perfect example of kindness. While the scientist TV is the perfect embodiment of the deadly sin of envy, the lesson here is that the kindness and genuine personality of the TV women will always win the hearts of fans, while the envy-driven personality of Scientist TV is never going to achieve him anything. But we need to realize the fine line between envy and wrath, and there is no better example of this deadly sin except the Titan TV man. But remember, whenever there is dark, there is also light. This is why the human race is the perfect embodiment of the heavenly virtue of patience. The sin of wrath is described as an extreme desire for revenge or resentment, and to seek vengeance for one's own satisfaction. While patience is enduring trials and still keep moving forward, and calmly waiting for results without frustration or anger. Patience is the key to overcoming many difficulties in life, and a beautiful example of this virtue is the race of humans. Even though they were challenged with many painful difficulties, they never actually gave up. Even though they seem to be small in numbers, they never lose hope. And I am surprised that they are still surviving in the verse of Skibidi Toilet. Another great example of this virtue is us fans. We wait for a great episode for weeks or even months, but we still need to appreciate the hard work behind this series and let Mr. Boom take his time to cook. Now you might ask why the Titan TV man got the title of Wrath. Well, it's clearly visible. Whenever we see him fighting, he always gets out of control. A great example of his wrath is shown in episode 73, where he left his injured comrades and decided to pursue the G-Toilet for revenge. If this isn't wrath, then I don't know what is. I know he is a fan favorite, and I might get some hate, but what's true is true. Also, some might say that the G-Toilet is also an example of wrath, which I don't think is true, because the G-Toilet is mostly calm, and I think there is another side of the Skibidi Toilets we have yet to discover. A good side, hopefully. But come on, guys. Let's be real here. We all know that the Titan TV is getting consumed by the deadly sin of wrath, while on the other side, despite all the difficulties and challenges, the humans are still moving forward. And this is why they are the perfect example of the heavenly virtue of patience. Respect to the human race, man. They deserve more recognition and credit. Now it's time for the 7th deadly sin, which is known as greed. The 7th heavenly virtue, which is proclaimed as charity. You see, the sin of greed is described as a strong and selfish desire to have more of something, most often money or power. Since money is not a thing in the series, let's just say power and technology. And the perfect example of this deadly sin is the TV race, as well as the Astro race, while charity is described as the willingness or even desire to help others in need, even with the cost of their own self. And the perfect embodiment of this virtue is the medic cameraman, as well as the GOAT Titan Cameraman. The Titan Cameraman literally got every virtue in him. And to be honest, looking at the recent behavior of the TV race, it actually makes sense to call them greedy or even selfish. Well, we all know the TV race loves to gather technology, and I get it. But to put it above the lives of Alliance members is definitely a sign of greed.
Samples more important.
And as for the Astro Toilets, we all know that they want the entire world for themselves, and they are trying to rule over everything. Pure greediness right there. Well, I don't think the TV race was always like that. I wonder what changed them. Maybe they are planning to betray the Alliance and join hands with the Astro Toilets? Well, if you find this theory interesting, I have made a dedicated video on this topic. Make sure to check that out. Well, for the virtue of charity, I think these medics are pretty underrated and they definitely deserve some appreciation. They are always there for support and they are really important in the battlefield because without them, a lot of Alliance members would be dead. Remember guys, not all angels have wings. Some have utility repair devices. And as for the Titan Cameraman, we all know how selfless he is. I don't think I need to justify his title. To sum it all up, the Earth has enough to provide for everyone's needs, but not everyone's greed. Well, these were the 7 deadly sins and their corresponding virtues. I hope you liked this video. And sorry for the late upload. This video took a lot of time. Also, don't forget to like this video and give your feedback in the comment section below.